We're going to find out why Lee Shaw looks so good for a man in his 90s. And we're going to find out whether or not Keiko is still alive. Welcome back. My name is Sean Redmond. This is Sean's Take. And today my take is on Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Episode 9, entitled Axis Mundi. Now, Axis Mundi is the name of the Titan's realm. And we're going to go through the time periods and find out a little bit about everything. Before I go any further, this is your spoiler warning. From here on out, I'm going to assume you've seen the episode or don't mind that I spoil it. And I will be using clips from the show, as is allowed by the copyright laws of 1976 under the fair use provision. This is a review. So let's get into it. We start in 1962, and we learn that Lee's getting ready to go on a mission into the Titan's realm. And we see Hiroshi having his life cereal for breakfast. And Uncle Lee gives him his good luck pocket knife to hold until he gets back. He won't be gone long. And Lee gets into the sphere that we've seen places with 3 other people into the Titan Rift. And what they do, because for some reason we can't traverse it at will, but the Titans can. It's unstable for us. But if a Titan comes through, it stabilizes. So they turn on a fake gamma radiation signal that brings a Titan up, and they shut off the signal when the Titan goes home. And then they drop the sphere behind him. Seemed like a good idea at the time. And it turns out that there's a lot of turbulence. It's not an easy flight. And they crash into the terrain. One of them is killed on impact, I guess, when they bury him. And then we don't know. We're not given any real indication of how long Lee spent there. But there is a Titan that emerges and travels, and somehow Lee gets sucked back into the vortex, deposited back on Earth in the 1980s. So however long he spent down there, that equaled 20 years up here. And I thought it was a neat cinematic device to use what to me looked like comic book panels for some of the violence that happened in the Axis Mundi when the lightning killed one of the other people. There's just a still like it would be in a comic book. I thought that was a good way to convey that information without having to film something really graphic. So that's it for the 60s. We're done. And we've moved on now forever, I think. And now Lee is in the 80s, although he doesn't know it yet. He wakes up, and since he's Lee Shaw, he's disoriented. Nobody's really answering his questions. He takes a nurse prisoner and tries to escape until he runs into Hiroshi, who has his pocket knife. They end up having a conversation of sorts. And we learn that Hiroshi blames Monarch for the madness that destroyed his childhood. And Lee kind of gives up, and he allows himself to be placed in a retirement home to be studied. And we see Wyatt Russell sitting there watching a documentary on nature, taking his medicine like a good patient, sort of zoned out. And then the person walks by, and we see now Lee Shaw sitting there in the form of Kurt Russell, and he's about to obediently take his medicine again years later. And he sees on TV there's a breaking news story, and he sees Godzilla in Honolulu, and he crumples the little cup with a pill still in it, and he doesn't take his medicine. And that is Lee Shaw preparing his escape. He's clearing his mind so that when we go back to the other episode and we see when Kate and Kentaro and May show up, he's ready. He's ready to go. So this is the thing that leads into that. And that sort of bridges the gap between everything from the past to 2015. And I wondered why the present was 2015 all along, and I have a theory. Stick around, I'll tell you what it is. We see Kentaro wake up in the hospital. If you remember at the end of last episode, the whole thing where the portal was imploded and Kate fell in with Shaw and May fell in to the portal. We now know that Kentaro, Verdugo, and Tim got out, and Kentaro is injured and in the hospital. Verdugo tells him that Kate's dead, May's dead, Shaw's dead, and his time, meaning Kentaro's time, with Monarch is over. And they leave, and his mom's there, and she's very upset at her son being hurt. They go home. They have, mom is talking about getting things back to normal. Kentaro going to work, blah, blah, blah. And Kentaro says, I can't do that. My fault. I should have saved them. I should have. And, almost too subtly, the mom switches gears and says, you know what you have to do. So get on with it. She doesn't say it like that. And it took me a moment to realize that this woman just said, yeah, you don't have to go back to corporate life. Go find your sister. So Kentaro goes to Dad's office and runs into Dad, which was a little surprising. Hiroshi is surprised to find Kentaro there and asks, they have a brief exchange, and Hiroshi wants to know why Kentaro and Kate were out in the desert. What were they doing there? And Kentaro says, we were looking for you. We thought you were dead. And Hiroshi has some things to say until Kentaro tells him that Kate was killed. And Hiroshi breaks down. His child was killed. And Kentaro blames him, says it's his fault because he was a lying little secretive man. Last time we see Hiroshi in this episode, he's kneeling on the floor, sobbing over the loss of his daughter. So the rest of this episode, the rest of the stories in this episode take place in the Axis Mundi. And we see Shaw wake up after they fell in. And there's a distortion and disorientation. May wakes up as well. And Shaw is there to help her because he now knows about the lightning that we saw in the comic book frame killing people. He teaches her how to know where they're going to hit and maneuvers out of the field. And it ends, as we learn then from Shaw, that it's a leftover from them passing through, like a wake, the static electricity. So as they're there, and Shaw tells May that he'd been there before, that's how he knows things, and he sort of relays his whole story to her and catches her up and tells her, you don't have a lot of time to be here, meaning time's passing. We don't know how long he was there before, but time's passing. So after they do go through their little adventure with the lightning and things, we do see Kate wake up, and she is disoriented. And there is a Titan-looking boar, or a boar-looking Titan, that walks up to her and doesn't do anything except breathe on her, and then walks past her, and then comes back around the tree, and she panics and starts to run, and it, of course, chases her. And just as it's about to kill her, it's struck by an arrow that injures it, scares it away, and we see silhouetted Kyoki is alive, looking like she looked in the 50s, and she just saved her granddaughter's life. And that's where the episode ends. So what I think, the reason that the present in this universe was 2015 is because I think they're going to come out of Axis Mundi in 2020, whatever season 2 is going to take place in. 2024 or 2025, probably. What do you think? That's what I think they're going to do. And then we're going to catch up to current. So what are you thinking? So Lee, we have one more episode. One more. So we're going to resolve a few things in there and then leave some for the next season. But Lee Shaw is going to get a chance to see Kieko again. I believe that May has a thing for Kate. She's very obsessed, like beyond my new friend finding. I think there's a budding relationship there. I do still have trouble with the fact that Hiroshi is a two-timing liar. And then we admitted that Kate's a two-timing liar. We're still supposed to like these people. I think we're supposed to like them. They've really not given us anything about Hiroshi to like. But I think we're supposed to like Kate. And, so we're going to have to smooth out her character somehow. Maybe May is the one she's always been looking. When they come back up, maybe they'll run into Dad and he'll explain. I don't know. So one more episode. I think they're doing great. I think we're on a good run to the end here. I'm looking forward to it. What do you think's going to happen in the end? In the last episode? What are we going to set up? Are we going to see General Puckett again? Or is he still a general? So this was a good episode. I'm looking forward to the next one. That's it for this. I'll see you next time. My name's Sean. This is Sean's Take.